Hi, this is Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us today for Live with Annie. As usual, we've started the stream a bit early. This helps us get everything set up and broadcasting properly to our various platforms. You can find a countdown clock on the screen showing how long it will be until we actually go live. While you wait, please connect with us and other viewers in the chat. Let us know where you are from and whether you're a new or longtime viewer. We'll see you live soon! Thanks again for joining us for Live with Annie. We are so happy to have you with us today. While you wait for the program to start, we hope you'll enjoy the content playing on screen. There's so much inspiration, so take a moment to tell us what you love in the chat. Don't forget there is a countdown clock on the screen so you know how long until we go live. it's Annie again, reminding you that we'll be going live with this week's episode shortly. There is a countdown clock on the screen showing how much time is left. You've got just enough time to grab some water or a beverage of your choice and a snack, and to connect with us in the chat. We'd love to hear what you've been working on this week. It's Annie, back to remind you that we'll be starting this week's live very shortly. We've got a really fun episode planned for today, and we'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Annie of ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 17 of season 4 of Live with Annie. I am really excited today to welcome one of the powerhouses in the quilting industry, Amy Barickman, to Live with Annie. In honor of Earth Month, we'll talk about upcycling and sustainable fashion. Amy will share her passion for vintage textiles and ways to use her fun Treasured Threadz fabric panels as whole cloth projects or pieced into a ByAnnie project. She'll also share some tips for embellishing with hand embroidery, and we'll wrap up with some fun ideas for sharing her love of fabric and quilting with embellished jean jacket ideas. So stay tuned. Thank you all so much for making time to be with us today. It really means a lot to all of us here. If you enjoy these episodes, please take a minute to follow us wherever you are watching. And if you know someone else who you think might enjoy the information that we share, we would really love it if you would tell them about Live with Annie. The easiest way to do that is to just tag them while you're watching. That will take them directly to the episode so they can watch it too. Also, we love reading your comments, so please be sure to interact with us throughout this presentation. Tell us what you think about what we're showing, share your tips and tricks, and tell us the projects that you are working on. We want to know what you think, and we love learning from you too. And Amy's going to have a surprise giveaway during her presentation, and you'll need to comment to win, so pay attention. Finally, be sure to add any questions you might have in the comments or chat, and we will do our best to answer them before we close. Last week, we were joined by the lovely Joanne Banco, who shared all sorts of tips and tricks for getting the most out of your sewing machine. She focused on machine feet and accessories and shared so many great tips and tricks. If you missed that episode or want to watch it again, remember that you can find all the previous 153 episodes of Live with Annie on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or at ByAnnie.com. And we've put up all the links to make them easy for you to find. Okay, quick drink of water here. As I said, I am really excited to welcome a special guest to Live with Annie today. Many years ago, when I was just a fledgling pattern writer, I was invited to present at a special conference that Checker Distributors, who is one of our major distributors, had organized for their store customers. One of the other presenters at that event was Amy Barickman, founder of Indygo Junction. I remember completely fangirling Amy and being totally blown away when she told me how many patterns that she and her team of designers had written. So over the span of 30 years, Indygo Junction published over 1,200 patterns and 80 books, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. Amy has been a driving force in this industry for many years, and she continues to reinvent herself. So please help me welcome Amy to Live with Annie.
Hi, Annie. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. I can't wait to pick your brain a bit. So before we get into upcycling and vintage fabrics, I would love to learn a little bit about your background and history. So can you just tell us how you got started in the sewing industry?
I would love to tell you the story of how I got started. I grew up in a home with a mom who loved sewing. She was a home ec teacher. I had a grandmother who was incredibly creative and did all sorts of crafts and projects with needle and thread. When I was a child, my mom had several businesses, and the main business that really inspired me and led me into launching or founding Indygo Junction was her store. So she owned a creative arts retail store in West Des Moines, Iowa, and it was called Donna's. She taught teddy bear making, and when I saw her teaching teddy bears, and I decided I could learn how to make teddy bears myself, and ended up launching a little business when I was in high school, making teddy bears. And really that is where my upcycling and recycling happened, because I would go to the Goodwill and I would find mink stoles, I'd find old coats that had just amazing, fur fabric, and I would create bears out of those and then sell them both wholesale and retail. So I really learned a lot about business when I was actually in high school. And then I went on to the University of Kansas. So I'm a Jayhawk, and I studied fine arts, jewelry design, and then I ended up with an emphasis in glass blowing. And when there weren't a lot of glass blowing opportunities out there, I ended up launching a pattern business based on not only my patterns, but also the patterns of some of the incredibly talented people that my mom had that worked with her in her store. So that's kind of the beginning of where I started. And I have a fun slide to share with you. There it is. So here you can see my mom and I when I was just in probably elementary school there, wearing quilt coats, which old is new again. And, you know, we see so much of these cutter quilt apparel wearables happening now out there. It's such a huge trend. So it was really fun when my mom found that photo for me. And she continues to work in my business and help me. You can see there we are at the this was actually at a recent show just last September in Hamilton, Missouri at Missouri Star Quilt Company. And we're both wearing upcycled denim, which is one of my favorite textiles to use when I'm designing patterns and projects. And we're both wearing embellished denim with my Treasured Threadz product line. So that was just a great location to share that new product line that have developed. And there I am also showcasing one of the projects that actually that textile is in my Vintage Notions book. So again, finding vintage textiles and finding new purposes for them. And that's what I did recently in my Vintage Modern Maker courses. And I'm going to share some fun projects from those two here in the next, session of our Annie with live with Annie. I'll get that right. So the next slide actually shows you denim redesign, and that is where the start of the Indygo Junction and upcycling. That was one of the main themes in my patterns with Indygo Junction. I always liked to offer an upcycled version as well as modern fabric. And the denim redesign book is just one of those timeless books that has, you know, everything from purses to there you can see the overalls that were made into an apron, children's ideas for children's clothes. And again, I had some wonderful designers help me publish this denim redesign book. And then, you know, through my experience with the Indygo Junction, I had all those great years. And then I eventually in 2019 sold Indygo Junction to Prim Dritz. And they're the ones who make needles, pins, OmniGrid. And I worked there for about a year. And then it was time for me to reinvent again. And so here we are.
Wow, what a great story. I really loved seeing the pictures of you and your mom in your quilted jackets. I remember making a quilted jacket way back in the 70s, and it's been really fun to see that kind of trend come around again. So how fun. And to hear about going to the Goodwill and buying mink stoles to make teddy bears. Goodness, what an entrepreneur you were already way back then. So thank you for all that you've done over the years to inspire us. I know that a lot of us have Indygo Junction patterns on our shelves and in our drawers and have had a lot of fun making those. So I'm curious, what happens after you've managed a really busy company like that and you start over again? What's happening in your world now? So I can't wait to hear more about that.
Well, I am ready to tell you all about it, Annie. I have recently partnered with Colonial Patterns, and Colonial Patterns is the makers, they are the makers of Aunt Martha's hot iron transfers, which many people probably own those patterns just like they own maybe some Indygo Junction titles. So with this local company, Colonial Patterns is just downtown here in Kansas City. I presented the idea of setting up a division within their company where I would be able to do and produce the product and inspire people with projects and content, and they would do the distribution and manufacturing. So it's bringing the best of what we both do together. And we've done that with Treasured Threadz. So I have a slide showing you this initial product launch. And there it is. These are my new fabric panels. And they were created with combining my love for my textile collection, as well as the idea I love sustainable sewing and giving people the tools, the ideas, and the fabric that they need to upcycle and sew and really enjoy and share what they make, particularly in what they wear. So that is one side of it. Of course, these are also excellent fabrics for making projects like ByAnnie patterns, which I'm excited to show everyone some of the wonderful patterns that Mary and my mom, Donna, have sewn for me for this episode. So there on the left on the screen, you can see the Missouri Star blue panel. That one was a compilation of quilt blocks and textiles that I've collected over the years. Then you have the postage stamped retro. That's the feed sack print collection with over 150 prints in it, different scales to mix and match. Then we have Western Rodeo, which is a collage of both textiles and ephemera from my collection. Roses and Daisies, which is one of the panels I've made up several of the ByAnnie patterns in. And finally, Around the World, which people love for the travel theme, especially if you're making a bag or a travel case. This fabric lends itself really well to that theme. So that's where I'm at right now. We're going to develop some embroidery projects and products. There's a lot of possibilities now that I have this wonderful partner in with Colonial Patterns. Again, what's old is new again. I think they're probably the oldest brand of pre-cuts quilt products that's still here in the United States and in business. So it's really fun to work with such a legacy brand.
That is really exciting, and I bet they are absolutely thrilled to work with you too, because what a good combination you have to, start with the fabric and take it all the way through projects. I really love how you've just kind of created a whole new business with all the things that you love, taking the vintage fabrics and fashion and making them more modern. So I know that you have made some really fun projects incorporating both those fabrics, your threads, your products, your techniques with our patterns. And so I'm excited for you to show them. I do want to remind viewers that we have links to all the products that you're showing today in the description for this episode. We'll try to put a lot of them up on the screen, but if we miss some or whatever, be sure to check in that description if you're interested in any of the products. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to you, Amy. So show us your stuff.
Okay, let's do it. I'm excited. Well, why don't we start with what I'm wearing? And what I'm wearing is a jean jacket that's been embellished with a Missouri Star panel. And the Missouri Star panel, which I'm going to give you a quick little view of, these fabric panels have a variety of patchwork. And this one has both a floral, this combination of all these plaids, and then here you can see I love the little postage stamp, and this is the Missouri Star block. So, and that's one of the blocks that this panel we've done some darling clam up samples in. So I want to go ahead and have that first slide up that shows everyone the clam up. The clam up was a perfect sized project for the the scale of the different patchwork that is on the Missouri Star panel. And when it comes to the panels, I always find that I can find vintage textiles, or a lot of times I'll go to the thrift store and find shirting and use shirts from the thrift shop. So there you can see where we took a shirt and we lined that clam up pattern with that shirt. I love also to add embellishments in thread and quilting on these treasured thread panels. So you see in both those samples there on the left where we added embroidery. And what we've used for that embroidery is a 12 weight thread. So a heavyweight cotton thread. Crossroads thread is a brand of thread that I have developed with Sulky. It is the petite little spools. They're great to work with. And before we go to the next slide, I want to point out the Roses and Daisies project that I have also featured. Now, on that particular sample, we actually machine quilted the Treasured Threads Roses and Daisies panel with the Soft and Stable ByAnnie products. So again, you have lots of different ways you can work with these panels, whether you quilt, whether you stitch. And I also want to point out the fun ticking that was there on the binding for the Roses and Daisies cosmetic clutch. That's the pattern there that we did. All right, let's go to the next slide, and I'm going to show you just what it looked like in process. So Mary Meyer created this particular sample for me, just did a beautiful job with it. And you can see where that Crossroads decorative thread has embellished that clam up before we finished it there on the left. And a lot of times, one thing I like to recommend is that you look into your fabric that you're lining, and then that is the inspiration for Mary's stitching there. So you can see the yellow cross stitch and running stitches, very chain stitch, just very simple stitches can give you really unique effects with these Treasured Threads panels. And then down there in the right, you'll find that instead of using a plaid shirt to line it, we found a denim chambray shirt. Now, you just want to make sure you get a shirt that is not too thick. And sometimes I lean towards even finding an Oxford shirt to line these smaller pouches with when you're stitching through a lot of layers. And I also want to touch on the ByAnnie zippers because you have so many colors to choose from. I loved the red here as an accent zipper. So think about, you know, adding a little bit of excitement to your bags with a colored zipper. Okay, let's go to the next slide and we will look closer at that Roses and Daisies cosmetic clutch. There you can see I did add a little bit of just that running stitch across that band where it was pieced. And we also did, again, the machine quilting and the ticking you can see there. And I'll tell you, with ticking, I like to use a yarn dyed ticking. You could also, sometimes you'll find printed ticking. Ticking is a little heavier weight fabric, more like a twill. So we also combined and added the Ozenberg is the fabric on that band. So there you have the Roses and Daisies panel. And this is the Daisies print on that panel. So speaking of ticking, I'm going to take a break from showing you patterns and tell you a little bit about ticking and my interest in ticking. So the next slide shows you my language of fashion book. And this is a dictionary and digest of fabric, sewing, and dress. And you can see the little definition there of ticking. So ticking was a vintage fabric that was used for pillows and mattresses, and it was a heavy twill that was used because they'd call it feather proof. So whether you had straw in your mattress or you had feathers, you would not it the that fabric would contain that material for you. And quick note, the picture that you see there was an actual mattress that I saw in an antique shop in Iowa City, and it's filled with horsehair. You might not be able to read that on the label, but so the horsehair was another option for mattresses, which I didn't really realize. But what I do want you to notice on this is the color in that ticking. So we think of ticking usually being the blue and white combinations, red and white, but here you can see you can find a variety of colors, and ticking just lends itself to home decor, to fashion. It's a great fabric I love to work with. And I want to make note of this dictionary that I resurfaced and reissued. And this dictionary was written by Mary Brooks Picken. She was the woman who wrote the Singer Sewing Book and a very influential leader in sewing and dressmaking back in the early and mid part of the 19th century. So this book, you can find the PDF on my website if you wanted to, print it yourself and print page by page. It's also available on with the links that you'll find in the description here. But now I want to move on to our giveaway today and share my Vintage Notions book with you. So Mary Brooks Picken and the Vintage Notions book was based on her writings and lessons. So if you want to go ahead and go to that slide, Jake, we'll look at the cover of the Vintage Notions book and the opening. It's an inspirational guide to needlework, cooking, sewing, fashion, and fun. So this is our giveaway today. And I thought it would be fun since I love vintage notions and fabrics, and you may too. Let's have everybody comment with your favorite vintage notion, and that is how you can get entered to win. So this book was just a labor of love for me. When I found Mary Brooks Picken's work, I fell in love with it, her lessons, her stories, her wisdom, and I captured it month by month in what I call just a treasury of domestic domesticity, we'll say. Everything from recipes to patterns. Each chapter actually has a sewing pattern in it. And there's also essays that are just nice to reflect upon. So that is Vintage Notions. And I do want to, tell you too, that Vintage Notions, you'll see on the cover the florals there. And those are actually, that cover was inspired by the woman you see in blue on that page, her dress. And those are actually feed sack prints in that view. And that is one of the courses that I have in my Vintage Modern Makers online classes that I'll talk about too. So I just wanted to point that out. But when it comes to florals, I want to share something special with you. And that's a finished sample of the cosmetic clutch that we made with the roses and daisies. So here it is. We finished it. So it just arrived within the last day or two. And here it is. You can see we have machine quilted the front of this one, but then we actually on the back did hand quilting, and we did that with my product that I use. And I use this much for embellishing the jean jackets too, and that is the Treasured Threadz favorite fusible product. And it looks like this. So if you're looking for it in a store, be sure to ask your local quilt shop. They might want to carry it, but this is the product. And it's a one-side fusible fleece that is great for working with the Treasured Threadz and then following that faux patchwork and adding embroidery and hand quilting. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back. I just thought it came out great with the denim up here. Also in the blue and white ticking. And now I'm going to have us go to a slide that shows you the before. So here is the before of that particular bag. And you'll see the panel there on the left with the header card. And so this shows you how the actual products are in the stores that you would find them. The panels hang on the header card, and then inside the header card, you'll find more information on all the techniques that we're going to talk about. And you'll find those through there. Each of these panels comes with a QR code and link to videos, a lookbook, and actually patterns, 3 patterns, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But I wanted you to just understand that you open the card after you buy the product and you find all that information enclosed, and then you access the information online. Now, for the chambray and ticking, you can see there we used, again, with the roses and daisies, those chambray shirts, those cotton Oxfords work well for your accent fabrics. And then, of course, your ticking is the fun binding there in blue. And I'm going to go to the next slide, and that will show you how we have added the embroidery there. That's a better shot where you can see where we just used a running stitch to outline the rows. And the thread we used is the Crossroads. I went ahead and put that in the photo so you could see it. And those packs are available from Sulky. But the 12 weight petites are just what I love for this technique. And then we're going to move on to really learning about the embroidery possibilities for these Treasured Threadz panels. Take a look at that hand quilting and embroidery there on the crossbody bag, the eyeglass case, and the zipper pouch. So those are the 3 patterns that come with every Treasured Threadz panel. And I particularly loved, Mary made that zipper pouch, and look at how she added embroidery to that rose. She's got just done a beautiful job, an outline stitch, a running stitch. And there you can see what the thread packs look like. They do have 10 spools. You're going to have a variety of colors and really be able to have fun embellishing those Treasured Threadz panels. Again, adding the quilting is another option for you as well. So moving on, let's look again at the roses and daisies. Oh, excuse me. I had my slides out of order in my view here. Okay, we have the Contain Yourself in the Roses and Daisies panel. And that is a fun little project that is perfect for, I love the idea of being able to use it for my buttons. And if you know me from the past, you know that I love buttons, particularly pearl buttons. So I'm going to share some ideas here in a second with you with pearl buttons, some things I'm wearing, but I first want to tell you about the Contain Yourself. And again, we upcycled a denim shirt for the lining. And what you see there in the view is that block that is part of that Roses and Daisies panel. It's just a beautiful red, and particularly this Roses and Daisies panel works really well with denim if you want to go for a little more feminine look. But now I'm going to have I'm going to show you some things I'm wearing related to buttons. And I have on my pearl button earrings. These are, and I also have a necklace. Excuse me. I have a ring that is made with a pearl button. I also have a really fun bracelet. And so pearl buttons, excuse me, are one of the courses that I teach in the vintagemodernmakers.com website. So with that website, I have taken my love for the vintage textiles and notions and created online courses that all include a sewing project with them. Many times it's always upcycling a vintage fabric, whether it be gingham or handkerchiefs, feed sacks. I even have a course on ticking. So be sure that you take a look at that website. If you, like me, love learning the history and love being able to maybe use your vintage textiles in modern projects. So that tells you a little bit about where I've been with my love of vintage. And I've also developed some new patterns that I want to share with you and share with you ways that you can, again, add upcycling. So now we're going to switch to looking at a few of my patterns and upcycled projects with those patterns. So we'll go to the slide and take a look at, this is our fold and go folio, and it is shown there with a lining made from a Oxford shirt with the Missouri Star there panel. And this case is great for tools, jewels, or tech essentials, I like to say. And it's a great way to also, great project for showing off one of your favorite buttons. So if you see that button up there on the ticking version, that's a really, it's a great way to grab a button and be able to carry it with you and enjoy it and share it with people. Now, I will also mention in this that one option for snaps we did here was using snap tape instead of actual snaps. So if you don't love sewing on your snaps, you could always sew on snap tape. A little fun tip for you. So next we have a slide showing the pockets and that are inside this case. So the fold and go folio has all different options for customizing. And this is an example of where we used one of the small prints of the Missouri Star that's on the panel. And then that became the drawstring pouch in this bag. So the little pouches lend themselves to, if you have jewelry, you could put your rings, bracelets. If you have notions, you could put buttons in there, your thimble, your tape measure. So this case can just be a real great solution for storage, whether it be your jewelry or your sewing. And the next slide will show you again the jewelry version with the around the world panel. So this panel has fun ephemera as well as luggage tags, stamps. And again, you see how you can store your necklace on the bands. I love the idea that you can't quite see there. You can see it a little. The needle keep could also be where you secure your earrings. So you could just, keep track of all those tiny little earrings when you secure them into the felt tab there. And now I'd like to show you something brand new we just finished this morning. And I'm going to take a quick drink. And then I'm going to share that with you. It is the flipping out. So Mary Meyer, wonderful creative team member on with me, she created this and just got it to me yesterday. So I was able to show it to you, but I didn't have a slide. So I thought I'd try this. And I'm going to open it up and you can see here the shirt. Look at the nice quilting she did. And the wonderful red zipper, Annie's red zipper we love. And here you can see just how, and the seam worked perfectly. It fit the bag. The panel fit the bag really nicely. So we didn't have to piece anything. And then here you can see the flipping out and then how you could use this. I went ahead and put in some scissors and a few paintbrushes just to let people know how wonderful this little sitting storage case can be. And Annie told me right before we came on, she said, now keep in mind, it's great for a bottle of wine and it's also works well for Barbie dolls. So that is our around the world panel. So there we have it. This is a fun one. The flipping out. All right, we'll get Jake, I'll have you take us back to look at another panel in the collection, and it is the postage stamp retro. And this panel is probably my favorite. I love feed sacks, and I love the way the feed sacks worked into the design of the bag with the small postage stamp on the exterior of the folio and the pockets made out of the larger scaled prints in the postage stamp panel. And those panels are new on the market. So remember, please ask for the panels at your local quilt shop. I always like to support local shops. My mom had a store. I know how important those retailers are to us. And so I always want to encourage you to ask your store to order the product. I did think too, since this is a new product, my patterns are new and a little different than my Indygo Junction patterns. I wanted to share with you next what the pattern looks like. So we'll move on to a view of the pattern. And this is a format and similar to the Treasured Threadz line where you get videos, lookbooks, giving you more ideas. I did that with the Fold and Go folio, the Anytime topper, and the Wherever wrap. Those are my 3 current patterns I have out under Amy Barickman. The fold out form is easy. You can trace your patterns off of it. If you can buy this online too as a PDF, but most importantly, I want you to know that it's more than just a pattern. It's like an experience. I like to call it a pattern experience because you do have this online content that comes with it when you buy it. And one of the favorite projects, or excuse me, textiles to use with this pattern is vintage linens that have been embroidered. And the one in this view is the a dresser scarf that had embroidery. And keep in mind, when you have one of those wonderful pieces, but maybe it has a hole in it or a stain on it, you can upcycle. This is a great pattern for incorporating those textiles into your projects. So think too of Annie's clam up pattern. That would be a wonderful pattern to upcycle with vintage linens and textiles. So I was excited to share that with you. And I'm also excited to share the what I have here that I have on the mannequin. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that here. This is the Anytime topper. So this is another pattern of mine that, again, we've done some amazing things with it using upcycled textiles. And you can see my picture there. I had a wonderful sewing friend and customer who came to see me at the Missouri Star Birthday Bash and show me her anytime topper that she'd made up in bandanas. So we've made this topper in bandanas. We've made it from a lace tablecloth, and it's gorgeous. We've made it from a blanket, fringed blankets. That was a huge, fun run that I had creating content when the Kansas City won the Super Bowl. I had several anytime toppers for celebrating my team. And this pattern comes in 3 different lengths. So, or you can crop it. But as you can see, the one in the view features the Missouri Star panel, and they're just added as a placket. And I will also mention that I'll have you come back to me, Jake, and mention that so I can show everybody just a little bit more about the pattern and how it's constructed. Well, you have a nice pleat up here that really makes it a one size pattern for the most part. There are 2 sizes in the pattern, but it's amazing how the small size fits just a wide range of body types. Also, keep in mind, this was actually a double X large chambray shirt that we were able to get enough yardage out of it to piece together. And you can see on the wrong side, just that and this nice twill has a good look, but you want to keep that in mind when you make a anytime topper, that you'll want to just know what the wrong side of your fabric looks like and keep that in mind. And speaking of what wearables and our love for wearing, our love for sewing and quilting, I now want to talk back to you about jean jackets. So we're going to wrap up talking about some jean jackets here and possibilities. So I'm wearing the Missouri Star, like I mentioned, and I just wanted to show to you how we'd even replace the flap on the pocket with one of the prints on the Missouri Star panel. And the cuffs, we cut off. Sometimes those cuffs are so bulky on a jean jacket, we cut those off and added some fun trim. And Jake, if you want to go ahead to the next slide, we can look at the postage stamp retro. And there you can see where you can not only do a jean jacket, you could embellish your jeans with patches. And the material that we recommend is our favorite fusible stabilizer for the decorative patch applique technique. So just have fun with this. You can replace a pocket, you can embellish a pocket. We added a blanket stitch around that cute little child's pair of jeans there on the bottom. We added some fun thread around the pocket for a little accent on the jean jackets, and just so many possibilities. And there you can see the fusible that comes with the pressing sheet. And for that technique, I also wanted to mention the new little Eliso iron is a fun one for upcycling and showing and doing the technique. And they now have a light and an automatic off. So keep in mind, and I share more about all these techniques on my YouTube channel. On my blog is a fantastic place to go to find more of the video content I've created, more inspiration and more ideas. And one other thing that you'll find on a recent blog post is my free heart to art pattern. So we'll switch back to that slide for a moment. And that has a fun option for mending or repairing fashion with the decorative patch technique. So the heart pattern I spilled on this awesome sweatshirt that I loved, and I decided, why not keep the sweatshirt? I don't have to give it to the thrift store. I can mend it and add a heart. And I did that there. And then I had a hat with a logo that I didn't like. So why not upcycle that and put a heart on it? So if you want this pattern, it's free on my website. You can find it in a blog post, and we even have a little video giving you some of the techniques for that. And another blog post that I have is the next slide, which is all about the jean jackets that were at QuiltCon. So I was so lucky to go to QuiltCon. I actually was there with Eliso. Sometimes I help them out and demo in their booth. And there you can see in the bottom left corner, one of their irons with the light on, which is kind of cool. It has a little headlight, so it's really easy to see when you're doing this fusible technique I have, what you're doing. But this blog post shows you all the variety of people and their wonderful creations at QuiltCon with jean jacket upcycling. So be sure to visit my blog and check out those posts. And we'll finish with a view of the Treasured Threadz panels one last time. There they are. And the great news that we have a discount code for you if you're interested in purchasing them. Colonial Patterns offered us a code, Annie's 15. And so if you want to order them direct from Colonial, you can do that. Of course, we want you to ask for them at your local shop. But in the meantime, if you're inspired, you can order online. And they also have the favorite fusible stabilizer for the jean jacket embellishing. And then our last slide today shares my newsletter. And I just would be thrilled if you would consider joining my newsletter list. When you do join, you get a 20% off coupon on your first purchase. Now, keep in mind, that is for PDF patterns and books. Excuse me. But my newsletter comes out regularly, pretty much weekly. And I share my travels, the shows I go to. I also share new projects. And in fact, that little picture is again the Fold and Go folio. And actually that's the small size. So that pattern comes in 2 sizes. And a special, something special about that particular project, that was my grandmother's finger towel in her bathroom that had gotten stained that my mother stitched up into the Fold and Go folio. So a little family story to end my lecture today and presentation. And there we are. What do you think, Annie?
Oh my gosh. My head is just spinning with ideas. Thank you so much for sharing all those and for sharing your knowledge. I really loved seeing what you did with all the vintage textiles. I have hankies that my mom made and dresser scarves and things, and being able to do something with those and combining them with the panels that you've made that incorporate all those vintage fabrics just would make that really fun to do. I also really loved seeing how you repurpose shirts. I have a whole bin of shirts that I saved when my husband died, which has been more than 10 years ago, and I planned to make them a quilt out of them, but it still hasn't happened. But if I made something smaller, like some little clam ups, and used them, I might actually get that done. I did have a couple questions before we go on to viewers' questions. When you did the embroidery on those little clam ups at the beginning, was that to also quilt the layers, and did you go through all the sizes, or did you just quilt the fabric and then make your sandwich and bring that together?
The way I have something I can show you that might help explain. So
Okay.
this is one of those hearts from my little heart pattern.
Okay.
And this is, we did our stitching through the batting, the favorite fusible, and then fuse the edges. But with a project, you can use like 2 layers of a fleece, but my thought is we would next time use the fusible on top with the quilting or embroidery, and then we'd put the soft and stable, layer it with the soft and stable.
And the lining at that point.
Yeah, and the lining. Did that answer your question?
Yep, it did. And then on your thread, the 12 weight, I I heard you mention you can combine more than one thread. So it's not like embroidery floss where you separate it. You just take individual strands and use 1, 2, 3, however many you want to get the effect that you want. That is such a good idea, and that would make it so easy to use.
It's so easy to use this, and I love the way the caps, you know, pop on and off. But yeah, you can see how in those. Well, here's the little, like, I love the. Just one more time, see how our camera shows those stitches. You know, we just did a lot of a variety on this. And that's all done with the 12 weight thread.
Yeah. Well, and I remember seeing years ago where they took ticking and did different stitches on each stripe, kind of, and I can really see that working into one of these. I think we're going to have to offer a challenge to people for our photo contest in the next couple months to do something where you incorporate some of these or some upcycled projects or upcycled fabrics and make some ByAnnie projects and submit them to the contest, because I can't wait to see what people do with those. All right. We do have some questions from viewers, and one question that was, will your 12-weight decorative thread work in the serger?
You know, I have not tried it in the serger. I assume with the right settings it will, but I have not. I do have my friend here, Karen. I'm going to ask Karen quick. Karen, what do you think about the 12 weight thread in the serger?
Oh, I don't think there'd be a problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karen, who is the expert on serging, and she is going to be doing some fun things with me for Me Made May, which brings up something I wanted to tell everybody. She thinks that would be fine.
That's a great idea. Well, I remember when I used to do shows with Superior Threads, and one year I was demonstrating, and right next to me was a gal from Australia demonstrating. She called herself the Surgeon General, which I thought was really cute. But she took Razzle Dazzle, which is a really thick decorative thread, and she was doing serging with that. So, I mean, if she could do it with that, you could definitely do it with a 12 weight. So I will definitely look forward to seeing what you guys come up with that. That'll be really fun. And thank you for sharing.
Me Made May will be fun.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your website and your newsletter, because I have watched some of your videos on there, and they are very well done and very informative. So everybody be sure and check those out. The next question is, how big is the Fold and Go folio? And I know you said it had 2 sizes, but can you give an approximate size on those?
Yes, the large is 5 by 9, and the small is 3.5 by 6.5. I can show you the scale here too. Like, here's 2 of them. This is the small, and this is the large.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, perfect. So those would fit really easily into another bag to contain everything that you want to have in one place, or make just a cute little bag to carry on its own too. Very, very cute. Next question was, are your patterns beginner friendly?
Oh, yes. Yes, they are. That is the one thing when I reinvented again with new patterns in the last 3 years, I made sure that we created patterns that had good instructions and would be beginner friendly. So that again is why we added the video content that you will find included with the pattern too. So, and when you think about like you can't see it here, but there we go, the Anytime Topper, this is the pattern that anyone can make. It's all straight stitching. It's perfect for a lot of times quilters don't sew garments, but this is definitely a quilter's garment. And it's also great for quilting because we've done some wonderful pieced versions of this. We've also even upcycled vintage quilt tops. And again, you can see some of those versions in the lookbook that comes with the pattern once, but it's so easy and great for making gifts for people because it's so easy to make and easy to wear.
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't have a lot of fit to it, like it's more of like a shawl type thing to wear. One question someone had was, can you make it with quilted fabric? You said you've made it with quilt tops. Were they quilted, and would that affect the way that it drapes?
It definitely, I don't know that I'd make it with, it depends on the look you want. It can be almost a wearable blanket if you made it with a batting sandwiched fabric, you know, or a quilted fabric. We've made it out of like a medium thick wool blanket, and it drapes okay, but we've done some out of, you know, scarves that I just picked up at the thrift shop that were large scarves. Those have been gorgeous. We've made it out of a Pendleton scarf, and that was gorgeous. So it would be a little bulkier, not quite as drapey, but I think you could do it. And honestly, I'll just bring this tip up. The armholes are big enough that if you're wearing it and you want to pull your arms inside and wear it just as a cape, you can do that and just turn it into a shawl very easily. So we actually made it out of like a Lux Cuddle Minky, and it's just luscious. But you know, when you're on the couch and you're just watching a movie and you want to stay warm, it worked out really well. And it was kind of fashionable too, you know,
I bet.
Little fur.
I bet that was really cute, and what a great idea. Next question was, does the jacket or other items have to be cotton to take the treasured thread? So if you're upcycling another jacket or something, does it have to be cotton to work with the treasured threads?
No, not. You can combine the treasured threads with anything. If you're going to use the fusible and do the decorative patch technique, honestly, you always end up sewing the patches on. The fusible is not strong enough to completely secure your patches. So you're always going to be hand sewing with it. So you can use any fabric that you like.
That's
not necessarily 100%. The panels are 100% cotton. So if you're going to wear them and put them on like jeans and stuff, be sure you pre-wash the panel. I usually hang them to dry, but you know, whatever you're going to do with the garment, you want to be able to wash your garment. So be sure you wash the panel, pre-wash it.
That's a really good tip. Someone asked, can you put the discount codes up again? I don't know if Jake can do that, but there you go. There's the discount code for the Annie's, or for Colonial Fabrics. And then the other discount that you talked about was 20% off, and that's automatic when they sign up for your newsletter, right?
Correct. If they go to amybarickman.com, there'll be, the newsletter sign up, and they can sign up. There are a couple of different places on the website to sign up, so it should be pretty easy to find it. And if they do go to grab that free pattern for the heart, that also registers them for the newsletter. But the discount code, I believe, is go to the home page to sign up to get the discount code. And if anybody you can always, anybody can email me if they like, amy@amybarickman.com. If you have a question or, you know, something after the episode, I'd be happy to answer questions.
That's awesome. And then one last question, are your products available in the UK?
Well, they should be through, as you mentioned, Checker Distributors, sells to stores
all
in the
over
UK.
the world.
Yes. So if you ask your shop to carry it, they can get it from Checker. So that would be what I'd love to come over and teach someday over there, and then maybe I can bring them with me. So you can tell your shop to invite me over as a teacher too.
That's always a good way to get them in there. But I'll tell you, Checker is great for that. And they have such good rates for shipping and stuff that we've pretty much told people to, if you want something in those countries, check first with Checker, because they've got some really good deals there. All right. Well, that looks like all the questions that we have. Amy, thank you so much for making time to be with us. And again, we've reminded everybody about that discount code. We reminded them to go just to amybarickman.com, and that's where they'll find your modern maker classes and all of those things as well.
Those actually are you can find a link at the top of the navigation that says DIY courses. That is a separate website. So just so that people don't get confused, it's vintagemodernmakers.com. So, but that link will take you there. And yeah, the pearl buttons. And I did remember one more thing I wanted to share with people. This little necklace is made from a spool, and eventually I'm going to have a course on spools and thread and things like that, but I am planning to do a little YouTube video coming up on this simple technique. But this is Treasured Threadz. So the beauty of these panels too is you'll want to save every little scrap, and then we'll make some jewelry that you can put into your clam up when you travel, or your fold and go folio when you travel. So keep that in mind.
I love that. And for those who are looking around, I saw a really fun video where you took zipper pulls and made necklaces too. So yes. We've got lots of zippers and extra zipper pulls with fun colors. So be sure and check that out. I thought I might try and get one done before today, but it didn't happen. So I'll look forward to that in the future too.
Yep. You have me come back and we can talk zippers and make some fun jewelry with zippers.
That sounds like great fun. So thank you again, Amy, for sharing all your wonderful projects, for making time to be with us. I am looking forward to connecting with you next week when we're both in Chicago at the H&H show. And welcome back. It's fun to see all the stuff that you've done.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate being here. And thanks to everybody for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed seeing all those projects that Amy made. As I said, it really makes me want to go dig out some of my fabric scraps and my threads and repurpose them into new projects and add a little bit of embroidery. I thought that really added some interest and charm to those projects. As always, just as Amy said, ask for these patterns and supplies at your local quilt shop. We all know how important those shops are to our sewing and quilting communities, and it really is up to all of us to keep them strong and vibrant. And just as she said, if they don't have them, they can get them either from their favorite distributors or directly from us. And we're always happy to set up wholesale accounts for them, so just have them contact us for more information. Be sure to stay tuned at the end of this episode to see the video clips of local quilt shops that we featured on social media this week. These shops currently have ByAnnie trunk shows on display and ByAnnie products in stock, so be sure to stop in and check them out. And next week, we are going to be back with another really fun episode. Oh, actually, no, we are not going to be here next week. So next week, we are going to be in Chicago for the H&H show. There's a chance that we may do a little booth tour while we're there that we'll share with you. And if not, we'll be back the following week. We're going to continue our repurposing and upcycling, maybe not upcycling, theme, and we're going to be joined by Nancy Myers of Patchwork Breeze, and she is going to show some projects that she's made using leftover quilted fabrics in ByAnnie projects. So you won't want to miss it, and until then, happy stitching! Hi, I'm Annie from ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie, and I am excited to introduce you to a unique quilting destination, Muppin's Sewing Emporium in Paducah, Kentucky. Meet Cheryl Sloboda, a trailblazer in the quilting world. With a passion for texture, technology, and textiles, Cheryl's work blends vintage charm with modern flair, resulting in modern masterpieces. As a renowned teacher and lecturer, her influence extends nationwide through appearances on Quilting Arts TV and It's So Easy TV. Inspired by her eclectic interests in comic books and Japanese culture, Cheryl's creations embody the rock and roll quilter spirit. Now let's step into Muppin's Sewing Emporium. Despite its modest size of 600 square feet, this tiny but mighty boutique packs a punch, catering to quilt tourists flocking to Paducah. Known as Quilt City, USA, Paducah is home to the National Quilt Museum, many quilt shops, and an annual bucket list quilt show. Need recommendations for exploring the city or its rich quilt history? Cheryl and Charlie have got you covered. From must-see landmarks to hidden gems, they will ensure you have an unforgettable experience, including a visit to their amazing store. At Muppin's Sewing Emporium, you'll find a carefully curated selection of fabrics, notions, and more. Plus, with Cheryl's expertise at your disposal, you'll receive top-notch guidance and advice on your quilting journey. Paducah's world-renowned 2024 Quilt Week takes place from April 24th to 27th. While you are in town for all the festivities, be sure to add Muppin's Sewing Emporium to your agenda. They will have quilts on display from Cheryl herself, tons of new fabrics and notions, and so much more. You'll also be able to see a fabulous ByAnnie trunk show, featuring models based on our patterns Get Out of Town 2.1, Going Downton, Festive Stockings, Catch-All Caddy 2.0, Ditty Bags 2.0, All Aboard, and Pettifour Baskets. So there you have it, a glimpse into the vibrant world of Muppin's Sewing Emporium. Stop by and experience the magic for yourself and give Cheryl and Charlie a big high five from me. I have so enjoyed following along as they've renovated this building and worked hard to open their store. We are happy to know that they'll be featuring ByAnnie products in Paducah and wish them much success as they continue the journey. And until next time, happy stitching! Hey there, I'm Annie from ByAnnie.com and Patterns by Annie. Today I am pleased to introduce you to a gem in the quilting world, Stitch On Needlework shop of Lawrence, Kansas. Let me tell you about Leslie, the creative force behind this fantastic shop. Leslie took the reins of Stitch On in 1984 and has led it to become a beloved quilting destination in downtown Lawrence. Over their 40-year journey, the shop has evolved with the times. Leslie, alongside her husband Steve, were on the forefront of quilting retreats and attended national quilt shows for 25 years. When the pandemic hit, they shifted gears, embracing virtual platforms for their community. This transition paved the way for their move to the countryside, where they now host open sews, classes, and stitch-alongs. Leslie and her daughter Laura also keep their community engaged with Facebook Live sessions twice a week. Stitch On is known for their color wall of fabric. It really steals the show. They offer a wide range of tone-on-tone fabrics, along with batiks, 30s prints, Civil War reproductions, novelty and seasonal fabrics, and more. They also carry a fun variety of patterns, notions, rulers, and pre-cuts, along with counted cross-stitch and gift items. Mark your calendars for April 27th as Stitch On celebrates 40 years in business. Join them for a party filled with a ByAnnie trunk show, giveaways, demos, and more. It's their way of saying thank you to the incredible customers who have supported them throughout the years. Stitch On will have their ByAnnie trunk show on display from now until May 4th, showcasing models made from our popular patterns, such as Undercover, It's a Cinch, In Control, Flipping Out, Round Trip Duffel, Tools of the Trade, Pocket Packers, and much more. So pay a visit to Stitch On Needlework Shop in Lawrence, Kansas, or tune in to one of their fantastic Facebook Live sessions, and wish them a very happy anniversary from all of us at ByAnnie. Until next time, happy stitching!